Eggs. The most basic food item, suddenly not so basic anymore. In the past year, you might have noticed egg prices shooting up. But what's behind this scramble? Today, we go beyond the headlines and crack open the full economic story behind your breakfast eggs. This is everyday economics. Complex economic made simple. Let's start with the numbers. Globally, egg prices rose by 30 to 80% in the last year alone. In some places, prices have doubled. In the US, over $5 a dozen compared to less than $2 pre-2023. Malaysia, RM8 per dozen is now pushing RM12 to RM14, but it's not just random. Several factors created a perfect storm, and that storm begins with the chickens themselves. The real culprit's bird flu crisis. It starts with an outbreak of avian influenza, bird flu. In the US alone, over 58 million birds were culled. That's the worst outbreak on record. Less chickens means less eggs. And rebuilding those flocks? It takes months. Global feed and fertilizer shock. Next, the cost of feeding chickens skyrocketed. Why? Corn, soy, and fertilizers were hit hard by the Ukraine war, droughts, and rising energy prices. Fertilizer prices doubled in 2022. When feed becomes expensive, farmers can't profit, or worse, they quit. Fuel and shipping squeeze. Add to that the cost of transporting fragile products like eggs. Fuel prices surged, and eggs can't just sit on a cargo ship for weeks, so logistics costs explode. Corporate behavior. Finally, the sensitive bit. In the US and Europe, big egg companies posted record profits while blaming everything else. They say it's supply and demand. Critics say it's also corporate greed. In fact, the US Federal Trade Commission is investigating claims of price manipulation. The egg puzzle. Now, what about Malaysia? Here's where it gets tricky. Malaysia controls egg prices. It sounds good for consumers. But when costs rise, farmers lose money. Some producers simply stop producing, leading to shortages. That's why even with price controls, shoppers face empty shelves. In fact, some eggs are smuggled in from Thailand and Indonesia, often sold at double or triple prices. The bigger picture. This egg story isn't isolated. It's a lesson in how fragile food supply chains really are. Bird flu, fuel prices, war, shipping, they all connect. And the same thing is happening in other food sectors. Remember 2022? The global wheat, oil, and chicken price spikes? Eggs are just the latest casualty in an increasingly fragile food economy. Historical perspective. This isn't new. In the 1970s oil crisis, food prices soared similarly. But this time, global supply chains make the system even more interconnected. A war in Europe, a disease in Iowa, a drought in Argentina. All of it impacts your local egg prices. Is there a way out? Government's dilemma. Governments can control prices, but if they're too aggressive, farmers exit the market. If they don't act, consumers suffer. Malaysia is now subsidizing producers temporarily, but that's not a sustainable long-term fix. Consumer trends. Some countries encourage backyard farming, urban chicken coops. Others push for plant-based egg alternatives. But the truth is, nothing replaces real eggs economically yet. Corporate reform? There's also pressure for more transparency from big egg producers, but experts argue deeper reforms in supply chains are needed, better disease control, diversified feed sources, more regional food resilience. Q&A, addressing common questions. Are eggs going to stay expensive forever? Probably not. Prices will ease as bird flu subsides, feed prices normalize, and supply stabilizes. But don't expect prices to go back to 2021 levels soon. Should I stock up on eggs now? Eggs are perishable, so bulk buying won't help much. Better to adjust your consumption patterns and explore alternatives if needed. Is this a sign of food crises to come? Many economists think so. Eggs are a canary in the coal mine for broader food supply chain weaknesses. So next time you wonder why your breakfast is more expensive, remember, it's not just inflation. It's bird flu, oil prices, global logistics, government policy, corporate behavior, and yes, even war. Welcome to the complex, interconnected world of food economics. If you found this breakdown helpful, like, share, and subscribe to Everyday Economics, where we explain your everyday questions calmly, clearly, and economically. What other food items are you seeing price shocks in? Tell me in the comments.